G'day ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the YouTube channel. How are we all doing on this lovely evening? Mate, I'm just cruising around, and today's video is actually inspired by one of the lovelies. He's actually commented on quite a lot of videos, so it's quite nice to finally get some ideas. Here's the comment left by lovely lad Beau Spencer, and today's topic is exactly that. We are going to be talking about lane filtering. Now, obviously, it's a little hard because I finished work quite late, so the traffic for demonstration purposes might not be the most busy, but all the information I'll be saying is still relevant to the task and topic at hand, okay? Now, there is two different kinds of lane filtering. There's lane filtering and lane splitting, okay? Lane filtering is the act of going through the traffic at a slower speed. Lane splitting is about fanging it through as fast as you can, okay? Lane filtering is more so when you're doing stuff like this and you want to get through your cars. Lane splitting is more when you watch Jigsaw going through cars at 120, 200 miles an hour, etc, okay? Now look, in Australia, Victoria, I don't know about the other states, pretty sure it's still legal in the other states, but I could be wrong. Lane filtering is legal, but it's only up to certain speed limits, alright? It's not the same everywhere. Whereas lane splitting is illegal everywhere because, well, one is dangerous and one isn't, according to them, even though they're both dangerous. But it's not a matter of thinking about the danger. When you're doing it, you want to be very aware, okay? So there's a reason why you can't lane filter as a learner rider, but you can the moment you're off your L's, okay? So lane filtering, it's a game that I would not recommend you do until you're quite comfortable riding and stopping quickly, okay? So if you can't slam your brakes on without stalling or dropping your bike, probably don't lane filter, because there are situations where someone will pull out because they don't see you, or if you go and they just don't indicate and they whip in front of you, which is one of the dangers of lane filtering, okay? Lane splitting, obviously, it's a lot harder to slow down when you're going 100 k's through the middle of people, all right? Lane filtering doesn't come quickly. Some people it might, but in most cases you might find that lane filtering is a little bit awkward. So for me personally, on the first day I was actually eligible to be allowed to do lane filtering, lanes, like stuff like that. I didn't do it very much. I think I did it once or twice because, look, you may be competent riding, but it's about low speed maneuvers, really focusing on your ability to actually turn quickly, slow down quickly, and drop the bike and slow speed stuff. So if you're not confident with that, do practice. Don't do it if you're not fully comfortable. You're gonna clip a car here or there. It's gonna happen. I've done it once where I've bumped a car and I went past. Didn't damage it, fortunately, because the guy was a bit pissed about it, naturally. But look, it's gonna happen. You just gotta make sure you're comfortable doing this in between cars, because eventually you're gonna realize the superiority of actually filtering through traffic. And I tell you what, once you start, it is very hard to stop, okay? Now, there's a reason we all love it. Traffic doesn't exist when you start lane filtering, because once you start going through the gaps, you realize why they do it in every other country, that, like in the Asia regions, because, oh mate, not having to stop for cars at lights and just, you know, funneling your way to the front, why wouldn't you take the opportunity to skip everybody? Oh, can we make this? Yes, we can. Just, woo, that was a close one. But yeah, why wouldn't you want to go through the middle of the cars? Because, like, look, sometimes traffic's moving hella slow. There's a freeway on the way out in Victoria where it's like a 2-lane road, and half the time cars are going like 20 k's down the whole thing, and you know what you're doing? Straight through the middle, baby. Just whoop, and it's just so much more, you know, superior as a riding choice. Now, it's amazing to me. Now, I've got a few blokes and misses that watch me from America, and it confuses me how a country of such freedom and strange laws, and you can shoot things and do anything, but you can't lane split or filter. Only in California, Texas, and I think one other place. And that's I don't get it. I just don't. But yeah, so look, lane filtering straight off your learners, I wouldn't recommend doing too much too quickly. All right, get comfortable focusing on where you're supposed to go. Don't try and whip through on multiple directions, because there's a few more factors you need to focus. Like when you've watched me in videos, you've seen me weave through traffic a few times, because I do it, all right? I'm not going to lie. I filter through the car, I'd say pretty well by my standards. You got to be careful of people like that when you're filtering. Another thing you got to worry about when lane filtering is actually looking out for other bikes, dude. Hello, is that a camera car? It isn't a camera car, it's an Uber driver. Right, so when you're filtering through the middle of traffic, how I do it, you see me changing lanes. Now that's when it gets a little bit more complicated. So you can lane filter through different lanes, but you've got to be very hyper aware of what's behind you. Because there has been videos of this exact scenario where someone's lane filtering like that, and then bam, a biker comes out of nowhere, they ram into the back of them, and they go, ah, I didn't see that there. And, well, there's no real excuse for not seeing what's behind you. You're supposed to be aware of it all the time. That's sort of the idea of same as driving. You're supposed to know what's going on. So, naturally, you've got to be extra aware. That's the thing. So riding a bike, you're already hyper aware of everything. But when you're filtering and splitting, you really have to be extra focused. Now, look, no one's innocent. No one follows the law to the T when it comes to lane filtering. Every biker lane splits occasionally. If you're going to lane split, you really got to make sure you're on the ball and know what you're doing, because you do not want someone to whip out in front of you. Like, I've come back from the city before, and the freeways were chopped up in the peak hour, and I was going through the middle because I could. And what happened? The P-plater came and whipped right in front of me, changed lanes, and I slammed my brakes and shifted down. Now, if I was a learner rider or very fresh rider, I probably would have rear-ended them, because I'm not so confident in my ability to stop quickly back then. All right, it's one of those things that you know for a fact that when you're inexperienced, you're gonna struggle with. You might suffer, you might crash. All right. Now, I know that's a bit morbid to say, but sometimes you got to be realistic about these things. Now, if you're not comfortable with your defensive and emergency maneuvers, probably don't start doing the dangerous shit, dude, because you might have an accident. And I assure you, having an accident on a bike in a freeway scenario is terrible, because other cars might not see you, and well, you can sort of get what happens. You just don't want to end up as a meat crayon, you know what I mean? Please be careful when you do these maneuvers. Don't rush into it. It's quite dangerous. Once you do feel comfortable though, do please start off slow. Don't go through all the gaps, because there are some gaps you can feel very confident with, and look, you don't have to be a great rider to ride through them. Look, let's be honest, like, you could get through a gap like the one in front of us there. Oh, now it's closing up because of course I'm talking about it, but some gaps, cars leave meters of space. Other times it's quite scary and you got to sort of weave back and forth, you know, get yourself in there. Maybe avoid those ones in your first few weeks of filtering until you get more comfortable with the ability to just funnel through the cars. All right. Now, talking and lane filtering, if you're planning on starting motor vlogging, probably don't straight away if you're not comfortable with lane filtering to begin with, because it does take quite a bit of brain power to do it. So maybe practice, get comfortable with the skill before you start doing it. Like, I started vlogging pretty early with motorbiking. Now, you can tell in my early videos I was sort of strapped for ideas when I was doing stuff, because my brain was more so focused on the actual act of talking as opposed to everything else. So fortunately I got into riding my bike with the GoPro pretty early, so I'm pretty used to the actual act of vlogging and riding. Now there might be days where I have a brain fart, or someone like this in front of me just absolutely doesn't know what they're doing. This is why their back of the car is so totaled, because they keep slowing down in 80 zones when they don't have to. But look, if you're planning on getting into motor vlogging, I'd recommend you probably practice your skills a bit more. Maybe do it more open roads, maybe not so much in built up traffic. Because I've vlogged in the city before, and vlogging in the city is a different experience, especially if you're not comfortable with your lane filtering and lane splitting and all that stuff, because in the city it's quite more compact. Everyone's a little bit more, well, you know, congested, close together, impatient as well. So maybe don't go straight into the city and do a vlog, you know, because it just might not be the best of ideas. But basically what it comes down to is there's a few factors with lane filtering and splitting, and one of them is, if you can be sensible about it, then it's fine, okay? If you find yourself being a little bit irresponsible, maybe you shouldn't do it yet, because you do have to be sensible. You do have to have quite a bit of quick thinking. It's not just do it and dust it. Sometimes it is, but a lot of the time, especially if the traffic's moving, it's a rolling puzzle that you need to constantly be solving, okay? There's lots of quick thinking, there's lots of problem solving, there's lots of, you know, flips of the switch where things just change rapidly, and you need to be very on your toes about what to do, when to do it, and how to, like, do your skill, all right? It's not just something that can be done on and off. It's not just, oh, I can just go through here and it's done. So, like, obviously now it is, because it's a stopped traffic, but when it's rolling traffic, you've got to really make sure you're thinking with your head, and really make sure you're paying attention to what's around you, what's behind you, what's beside you, and basically what obstacles are in front. And I'm not talking like a car ahead. I'm talking cars, multiple cars ahead, you know? If something's crashed, you got to be aware. If there's a traffic hazard, if there's roadworks, you really got to be on the money, because you don't want to be paying no attention and then all of a sudden, shit, you need to slam the brakes on and then you rear-end the guy, or someone changes the lane because it's their lane ends. You know, stuff like that. You just be hyper-aware, okay? You don't want to end up under a truck or in the guardrails, or even just bumping into a car. Like, look, best case scenario is you tap the bumper of a car with your tyre and do no damage. Worst case scenario is, well, obviously splat, all right? You don't want that, and I don't want any of that to happen to you guys and girls. So let's pull into our favourite little park up here that many videos have been started, all right? But please, once we get up here, we shall wrap it up. Do take it simple and just really pay attention when you do your riding, man. Riding is not just the act. It's not like driving. Driving, as everyone knows, it gets a lot easier with time. Obviously, you sort of just do it. It becomes second nature. Riding is, as much as it does become second nature, you still always have to be paying attention, because it's constantly changing. It's always forever going to be it's like a Rubik's Cube that's constantly moving on its own. You know what I mean? It just never really ends. Oh, they're doing some renovations over here. The park's getting changed. Don't tell me they're removing the cliffside again. That's my favourite spot, and they always block it off for some reason. Damn shame. But yeah, guys, just when it comes to lane filtering and riding, just take it easy. Really think about what you're doing. Commit to it. And if you're one of those real anxious riders, don't do it yet, because if you start second guessing yourself and panicking, you're basically just going to have a bad time. And I really don't want to see anyone in my comments messaging me that they had an accident whilst filtering because they just had a panic or they second guessed themselves. So yeah, that's pretty much all there is to it. It's a skill that needs to be practiced, and once you get better at it, like anything, it's like when riding, you might have stalled originally and now you don't. You know what I mean? Just practice. And don't think you're invincible when you're doing it. Really always be careful, because lane filtering is very unpredictable and it's constantly changing. So don't let that scare you from it, but all it means is just be careful whilst you're doing it, all right? But besides that, ladies and gentlemen, that's all I have time for. Please, take it easy, keep it cheesy, ride safe, let me know down below. Someone's been punching nangs over here. And let me know what your experience with lane filtering is, all right? Otherwise, peace, bye.